Shanahan wanted you to be there.
Yeah.
There's no player on that team that believes that they're there because Jason Garrett wants them to be there.
I agree.
They're there because Jerry wants them to be there. And what Troy is saying, Skip Bayless, he's saying Jason is only the coaching title. He's a figurehead. Nobody believes he's doing anything.
Nope.
Everything runs through Jerry. And see, Troy is saying that's the problem.
Okay. Yeah, Troy's conclusion was there's no way that Jerry's going to fire Jason. And he said it's never been the coach's fault. They've all been okay. Like that's been irrelevant in Troy's view. But at some point, it becomes very relevant because, and this is what Jerry's going to throw back at you. He tried one time to cede all responsibility to one coach. He just said, here, you do it. And that coach was Bill Parcells. Hall of Famer, right?
Yes.
Decorated, Bill Parcells. And he comes in, and what happened? He went 34-30 over 4 years. They made 2 playoffs in 4 years, and they won exactly 0 playoff games in those 2. They had 2 and lost them both. Remember the Romo debacle up in Seattle, the drop snap? And then they went to Carolina while Carolina was on a roll. It was a wild card game. Right. Carolina went on to play New England in the Super Bowl, and they lost that one badly. So that's it. That's all you got to show. So Jerry could argue with you right now. I tried that once, and it busted on me. Now, the last year, the 4th year, what did Jerry do?
He got T.O.
He went and got T.O. And Bill Parcells fought against it. He wanted no part of Terrell Owens, and I was good with that because I wanted no part. I told you that knocked me completely off the bandwagon. You went and got Terrell Owens after what happened in Philly and San Francisco? Really?
So Coach Parcells says, okay, for 3 years, you let me have control. But the 4th year.
Right. Remember, he wouldn't even call Terrell by name. He was the player. Really? So and remember, Terrell's showing him up a little bit in camp practice because he put on the Lance Armstrong gear and he's riding on the exercise bike on the sideline. And that was the end of that deal. And again, somebody was going to have to go, and eventually Parcells went. Right?
He's outgone.
Yeah.
He said, you can't pay me enough money.
Nope, not to do this. So again, Jerry could argue, I tried that one time. But what he hasn't really done is, if he goes and gets a real football coach and says, you coach this team and I will stay out of your way. I'm going to give you the players, or we, Will McClay and I, and Jerry signs off on draft picks, but still, Will McClay's, I think he's very good at his job. So we will give you the players, but we will not interfere with anything from day to day. You coach the team, and you have the power to hire and fire players as far as if you don't like somebody, you tell us, and they will be gone. Okay. Because you have to have the hammer. You have to have the big stick. Right. The players have to know, if he doesn't like me, I'm gone. Right. If I defy him, if I stand up to him because he won't stand up to Jerry, well, then if that coach is empowered and you're out, because, hey, Jimmy had that power. He would whack people in a heartbeat.
Skip, let me ask you a question. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, in the last 2 years, who do you think is a better head coach, a better offensive play caller, Kyle Shanahan or Jason Garrett?
Well, again, I don't think Jason calls plays. I think he has input into strategy.
But who do you think is a better head coach, Kyle Shanahan or Jason Garrett?
Well, I'll take Kyle any day. Okay. From what I've seen so far.
Okay. Sean McVay. Or Jason Garrett?
It's laughable.
Okay, Jerry Jones could have both of those guys. But what do they have that Jason Garrett doesn't? They have final say of the 53.
Okay, but Jason was in place, and Jerry could sell Jason to you because Jason had gone in 2014. He went 12-4, and then he turned around in 2016 and went 13-3. Yeah, it's hard to argue with those 2 years.
Wade Phillips went 13-3 and started 0-5, and he got fired.
He did.
So what Jerry tells me, Jerry will hire and fire whom he wants. But this is a situation, Skip, there's a reason why there's not a whole lot of people calling for Jason Garrett's job, because they know Jason's not coaching this team. Troy basically said it. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It's the exact same thing on a yearly basis. They underachieve because why?
But Jason Garrett, to me, is as uninspirational a coach as I've ever listened to when I hear the behind-the-scenes locker room, the documentary stuff. I could see where it's just tune out. It's just, I'm watching the documentary that was on Amazon, I think it was, where we'd watch the team meetings, and guys are falling asleep while he's talking.
It's not a good sign.
It's just not a good sign. It's not who you want running your football team. And so what did we see? Do you think Jerry Jones had a lot of input into the 2-week game planning for Tennessee? Do you think Jerry Jones was running practice every day? He was not. How did the team respond coming off a bye against the 30th ranked offense in the Tennessee Titans, led by one Marcus Mariota?
Jason.
That's on Jason.
Yeah, you have to bear that, Skip. You have to have your team, but good teams don't lay an egg coming out of the bye.
They just don't. But that team came out flat and uninspired and unemotional, with no urgency, no electricity, no passion. They just mailed in a 2-week prep game, right? Well, that's on the head coach to me. So as a fan, and I hate to say this, but I've been thrust into this position. Every time I've picked this team, I always say I have to do it in spite of Jerry and Jason. I just have to hope the team figures out how to win in spite of those two guys.
Right.
And they can. Occasionally we'll see stretches where they will. But now I'm thrust into a position, because that was the turning point. That was a collapse. And I did really agree, and I thank Troy for saying one thing. I can't think of a loss that was this bad at this point of a year. I agree I told you that to start the show yesterday. As a longtime fan, that was hitting bottom. That was the worst under the circumstance. And early in the game, they flashed all their potential for you, and then they didn't cash in. And you know what happened? Instead of blowing out Tennessee, they virtually got blown out at home. So as a fan, for the next 5 games, so it goes at Philly, at Falcons, Washington, New Orleans, Philly again. So that's 5 highly losable games, right? Maybe you would say Washington's kind of 50-50, right?
Especially with the offensive line situation.
Okay, but the point is, as a fan, I am now thrust in the position of having to root against my team for the next 5 games, because I still believe, I said it yesterday and I believe it with all my heart and soul, if this team loses 5 in a row more to fall to 3-10, even Jerry would get shamed into doing something. And I think Jason would have to go at that point. I'm predicting that if they lose the next 5 on that Monday morning following, that he will let Jason go. That's okay. And I need it. I need something to force Jerry's hand beyond Jason figuring out how to win another couple of games. It just doesn't get you anywhere. It's over.
Skip, you said Jason Garrett doesn't move you to climb a wall or to run through a brick wall for him. How did Chan Gailey?
He does move me to climb walls. I climb my living room.
But good wall. What about Chan Gailey? Was he inspiring?
Nope.
What about Dave Campo?
He was a great puppet.
What about Dave Campo?
I knew Dave Campo very well. Ultimate puppet.
Wade?
Wade's not a puppet to me. I think Wade's his own man more than you think. I mean, you know him.
I know Wade.
And I knew his father very well. These are their own people.
But Wade is not a fire and brimstone guy. What about Barry Switzer? No.
Hey.
He couldn't know. Oklahoma Barry Switzer might have been fire and brimstone and get you going.
The problem was he's like Jerry's best friend in the world and drinking buddy. So you got issues going on there. Deep issues.
What about Jimmy? Could Jimmy get them going? What about Coach Parcells? You watch NFL films and they say how you get them going. Jerry doesn't want that skill.
Now, I covered the Jimmy teams. Jimmy inspired more fear than any coach I've ever been around. When Jimmy, during the lunch hour, when it's the media availability, if he ever happened to just walk through the locker room, every player looked sideways like, uh-oh, what are we just, is somebody going to get whacked? You know, is
carrying the stick.
Okay.
Both will get the results that you need.
Right. So would Jimmy stand up to Jerry? You better believe he would. Were they still a good sort of Lennon-McCartney kind of mix? Yeah, they were. Because, listen, I always give Jerry some credit. He picked some of those players and he swung some of the deals for Charles Haley and Deion Sanders that put them over the top a couple of times. So I give him some credit. But obviously, Jimmy wanted to give him 0 credit, and Jerry wanted to give
50% of the credit.
Yeah, right. Jerry wanted 50%, and he was willing to give Jimmy 50%, but only 50%.
But here's the thing, as Jason, Skip, and I'm going to say this in Jason. How do I coach if I make a decision and then you turn around in the media after the game and then question the decision in which I made?
True. It's the worst, and I agree with you. The number one issue that you brought up first is the post-game press conference by the owner that comes across with the media like the ultimate decree. What just happened? Well, we don't care what Jason says. We only care what he says.
Thank you.
Okay, so now you're the effective head coach, right?
Yeah, the coach speaks to the media first.
That's correct. And everybody hangs on every word from Jerry after the game.
Yes.
Okay? Well, that's no good.
No.
So if Troy wants Jerry to step back, that's the first way to step back is just quit doing that. You can do your radio show on Monday if you want to. That's fine. Tuesday?
It's Tuesday, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
No, he's not going to do that, Skip. You know that. You know, like I said, you spent hundreds and hundreds of hours with him writing books. You know him better than anything. You know he's not stepping back. You know that.
Yeah. Why did he buy the Dallas Cowboys in 1989? Because he had made millions, which at that point felt like billions of dollars in the oil field striking rich. He'd also lost his shirt a couple times. Right. But he had made so much money in the oil field that he told me, I'm just bored. I don't know what to do with my money anymore.
And that's what a lot of people that makes billions of dollars, Skip, they want sports franchise team. Because if you were to see, if you were to see like Bill Gates or some of these guys, the average person probably wouldn't know what they are. But you buy a sports franchise, that's a whole different ball game, Skip.
Yeah.
Oh, you are.
So Jerry is who he is, Skip. Jerry's not going to change. So I know Troy. I mean, for Troy to do this, not a whole lot of former players, especially of his ilk, will say that. Because, like you said, he lives in that city.
Yeah.
But he carries credibility, Skip Bayless.
He carries huge credibility. He also knows that about 2/3 of Cowboy Nation will be on his side with these remarks.
They know it. But Skip, they know Troy is telling the truth, but they love the Cowboys so much.
Yeah.
That, so be it. We'll just grit it and bear it.
Well,
that's your team, though.
I am rooting for 5 straight.
No, Skip, don't do that.
No,
I got it.
Skip.
And you know what? I'm going to predict right now they're going to lose 5 straight. I predict.
Skip, we don't do that.
I do.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't
worried about you.
We don't root for the firing or the hiring of someone.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
We do.
No.
This is a first for you,
I like Jason. Jason was very nice to me. I saw him in New York, met him a couple of times. He's very nice to me. I covered him.
He's great. He's smart. He's very personable one-on-one, not so much in front of the team. But
yeah, and I got on the bus, the Cowboy Cruiser a couple years ago.
Had a little drink or two.
Yeah.
They don't serve Hennessy on that bus.
No, they had